Barak Shalom, everyone. It's Out the Box Kingdom Talk with me, Out the Box Kingdom. I hope you all are having a wonderful yom. It is a wonderful yom, even though it's raining here, so it's a little bit cloudy here, but that's okay. Abba knows what the Arets need and his wonderful creatures outside, along with those that have started in your garden and things like that. Your plants need the most purest water of all that comes from the from the Shemians. So all praise to the Most High to that, because at least we're getting to see another yom. So I'm sitting here, y'all. Like I said, once again, I guess this is the Bereshith series, because Abba is speaking. I just love it. I just love it. Abba's word. And today I went from, the part where Abram's name is now changed to Abraham, and Sarah is now Sarah. And when Abba has given them the word about they were going to conceive a child. And what I love about Abba Yahuah is, even though Ishmael was created out of the flesh, because we know what Sarah did with Hagar, Abba still promised Hagar that Ishmael will get part of the inheritance. Why? Because, not the whole entire inheritance like Isaac would receive, but however, he would increase greatly and things like that, and he would have 12 princes come from him. However, what's sad about Ishmael is that he would be fighting amongst his brothers. So it was like technically Ishmael won't get peace. And I understand that in a sense, because if you think about it, Hagar was a Mitzrayite. So she came from a cursed people, which was Ham. You know what I'm saying? Ham people was Cush, Mitzrayim, and some others. So she's part of a curse too. You know what I'm saying? But he has a mixture of his mom coming from a messed up foundation of a tribe of people, but then his dad is blessed by Yahuah. So there's some partial inheritance, but he really would not really get to enjoy it, because he's always going to be fighting with his brothers, and that's sad. That's really sad. But anyway, go back and read that. But today's topic is take heed to the warning of transition. Take heed to the warning of transition. And the reason why I'm saying this is because when I began to read Bereshith chapter 18, and this is going from verse 16 to, let's see. I'm gonna just say from 16 all the way to 33, because if you have not read yet, that is right around the time after Abba Yahuah has given Abram and the news that Sarah is going to conceive and have a child within the next year of the appointed time of life, right? And so after he has sat there and communed with the messengers along with Yahuah, Yahuah is now talking with the messengers like, should I tell Abraham what I'm getting ready to do, right? And because Abraham has been obedient to Yahuah, Yahuah begins to reveal to Abraham what he's getting ready to do at Sodom and Gomorrah. And of course, this is where you see Abraham's like, you're not that type of Yahuah that you would just wipe out a whole city if there's obedient people in there. If there's 50, he's just really pleading with him, right? And so I'm getting ready to tell y'all why I'm saying take heed to the warning of transition, as in, and when Abba is telling you to move, you need to move. And I'm going to tell you, along with a personal testimony of mine, of when he's telling you to move, don't try to figure out how you can get the finances or anything. Take heed to his instructions and say, yes, Yahuah. So I'm going to go ahead and read this. But first, before I read, Let us pray. So Abba Yahuah, we just told you for this wonderful Yom. We are in a new Shabua. And we told you for you're consistently ordering our steps. You're consistently giving us instructions of what to do, when to move, when to sit still, when to turn left, when to turn right. We know that the enemy is very cunning. He's coming in the form of angel light and leading a lot of your children astray. A lot of them are moving into cities where you're bringing judgment. But however, when those that are totally obedient to you, those that are totally hearing your voice, when you say, leave this place, when you say, I'm getting ready to bring judgment in this place, they take heed and they'll go ahead and put their 2 weeks notice in, or they'll go ahead and get themselves prepared to shift or transition to the city, the safe place, the land of Goshen, for them to be protected under your wings. We really pray for those, Abba, your children, where they really hear your words and they take heed to your instructions, that they won't get burnt by the judgment that you're bringing on some cities that they're dwelling in. And because you have heard the outcry of your children, you have heard the oppression, you have seen the bloodshed, you have seen where there has been establishment of multiple abortion clinics on every corner, where there has been medical malpractice and the blood cries. But however, before you bring judgment into a place, you will send your children out of a place. It's just like when it comes to Exodus, when it came to Mitzrayim, there were plagues that they were afflicted with 10 plagues, right? And you were telling your children before the affliction of or the death of the firstborn, for them to mark their homes with the blood, smear the blood of the lamb over their doorposts, so that the angel or the messenger of death won't come into their household. But however, in the midst of that, you was getting them prepared to prepare themselves to move out, to prepare themselves for their exodus, their deliverance. And I truly believe that there is getting ready to be a major deliverance and an exodus. You're transitioning a lot of your children into, just like you did with Musha, when a murder was committed, you had them to go into like this safe haven city, which was next door. And so we just thank you for those cities that you have marked to be a safe haven for your children, where they won't be burnt by the judgment that's getting ready to take place in these corrupted cities, just like Sodom and Gomorrah. And so as I read the scripture today, may they be hearers, not just hearers of your word, but doers of your word also, and prepare themselves for their transition, preparing themselves for their exodus and their deliverance. And so we told you, Abba, for the warning in advance. And this doesn't just always mean a transition in the natural. This could be a transition spiritually. And I'm seeing also right now, you're talking about the church buildings. You've been wanting a lot of your children to come out from amongst them. And those that are still wanting to ignore, unfortunately, they gonna get hit by the flood. They're gonna be hit by the fire, and they're gonna be hit by the judgment. Warning comes before destruction, and pride comes before the fall. And so may they take heed to your very words today given. In Yahushua HaMashiach's name I pray. Amen. So once again, y'all, the topic today is take heed to the warning of transition, right? When Abba is telling you to move. Because unfortunately, you're going to have some that's going to totally ignore, oh, that can't happen. That's not Yahuah, because they've been taught the wrong type of Yahuah. And they're going to get hit. Because Abba don't show no partiality in nobody. And if you've been warned before it comes, and you still choose to stay where you're at because you want to hold tightly onto something, oh, because you're familiar with that, oh, because you don't think you're going to have the finances to move. Trust and believe, when Abba wants you to move from a place, he going to make sure you got the money to transition. You just got to prepare yourself to move, right? And so let me cut this light on over here so I can see. All right. So I'm going to read, and I'm coming from Bereshith, which is Genesis chapter 18, verse 16 through 33. And I'm going to read all this, and then I'm going to come back and give my own personal testimony and what I got off this. And it says, "And the men rose up from there and looked towards Sodom, and Abraham went with them to send them away. And Yahuah said, Shall I hide from Abraham what I am doing? Since Abraham is certainly going to become a great and mighty nation, and all the Goyim of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I have known him so that he commands his children and his household after him to guard the way of Yahuah, to do obedience and lawfulness, so that Yahuah brings to Abraham what he has spoken to him. And Yahuah said, Because the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very heavy, I am going down now to see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry against it that has come to me. And if not, I know." So the men turned away from there and went towards Sodom. But Yahuah stood still before Abraham. And Abraham drew near and said, "Would you also destroy the obedient with the lawless? Suppose there are 50 obedient within the city. Would you also destroy the place and not spare it for the 50 obedient that were in it? Far be it from you that to act in this way, to slay the obedient with the lawless, so that the obedient should be as the lawless. Far be it from you. Does the judge of all the erects not do right?" And Yahuah said, "If I find in Sodom 50 obedient within the city, then I shall spare all the place for their sakes." And Abraham answered and said, "Look, please, I who am but dust and ashes have taken it upon myself to speak to Yahuah. Suppose there are 5 less than 50 obedient. Would you destroy all the city for the lack of 5? And he said, "If I find there 45, I do not destroy it." And he spoke to him yet again and said, "Suppose there are found 40. And he said, "I would not do it for the sake of 40. And he said, "Let not Yahuah be displeased. Let me speak. Suppose there are found 30. And he said, "I would not do it if I found 30 there." And he said, "Look, please, I have taken it upon myself to speak to Yahuah. Suppose there are found 20. And he said, "I would not destroy it for the sake of 20. And he said, "Let not Yahuah be displeased, and let me speak only this time. Suppose there are found 10. And he said, "I would not destroy it for the sake of 10. Then Yahuah went away as soon as he had ended speaking to Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place." So something that really stood out to me in this chapter, not only is Abraham trying to plead on the behalf of the people that's getting ready to face judgment in Sodom and Gomorrah, but he was saying Yahuah was saying the outcry of my people, the outcry of the people. He said, and this is verse 21, "I am going down now to see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry against it that has come to me, and if not, I know." Bruh, when it comes to Yahuah, the blood cries, right? And the main thing that's outcrying a lot now is a lot of these abortions that's taking place in these abortion clinics in these different cities, along with murders, right? Along with sacrifices, along with medical malpractice, sorcery, all these things. And because of medical malpractice, people are purposely getting killed because they're selling organs now. So you have all these things in different cities that's outcrying the witchcraft, the heaviness of witchcraft that's taking place. And Abba is getting ready to bring judgment. And we know that in Revelation, it's going to be with fire and brimstone, just like Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, one thing I noticed when he said, if there's 50, if there's 40, if there's 5, would you destroy it? That's not you. See, he's bringing back The whole thing with the covenant with Noah. Remember, it was evil in the times of Noah. And Abba did establish that covenant with Noah, saying, I will not wipe out all humanity, right? With a flood. So here you have Abraham now. Abba's not telling Abraham exactly how he's going to bring this judgment. He just said, I'm hearing the outcry. But Abraham's like, can you spare? Because he knows Lot is there. But yet he's not just thinking about Lot. He's like, okay, if you find other righteous people that's not like you, to bring total judgment in a place where you still have your righteous, the obedient in that place. Right. And so even though Abba is hearing him, Abba already know that is a wicked town. Just like think about Hollywood. That is a wicked town. It's a modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. But what I will do is go and send my messengers to warn the righteous that's in there to leave that place before I bring judgment. Right? That's how loving Abba is. Right? He will prepare you before he brings judgment in the place, because he don't want you to get caught up in that fire. Right? He don't want you to get caught up in the judgment. Right? This is why there has been a consistent warning about telling us, come out from amongst them, come out of the building, because there's witches, warlock, and sorcerers and false prophets all up in there, right? That have been initiated by witch doctors from Africa and all that stuff. And they call themselves prophesying, but they praying curses on the children of Israel, right? The Hebrews, right? So, of course, we're supposed to pray for our enemies. We're supposed to pray that they repent. We're supposed to pray because we remember Paul was a persecutor of the Hebrews. You know what I'm saying? He was a persecutor of the followers of the way, the narrow way, right? Until he got afflicted and he became blind, but then the scales fell off and he knew then that he was fighting against the wrong people, right? And he set the record straight, even though it took a minute, right? But what I'm saying here in this message is a lot of y'all been warned to leave y'all church or to leave a specific ministry, to leave y'all job, to leave a certain city, you know, to leave where y'all families are. And y'all still want to sit there, and then you can't understand why is there still the curses in Deuteronomy 28 coming in your life versus the blessings? I've been tithing. I've been doing this, but you've been being disobedient. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. So if you've been in this place right now where Abba has been telling you to leave your job, you better leave that job. It's not worth that salary. Is not worth the judgment that's getting ready to come in that place, because you don't know who you're working for. You know who your manager is, but you don't know the actual owners or the CEO of that business. And if you are the righteous and you're surrounded by the unrighteous, you are in a Sodom and Gomorrah situation. You're just like Lot. And the reason why Lot got spared, not because he was righteous, but because who his uncle was. You know what I'm saying? Lot got out of that situation because of Abraham. Because Abraham was a friend of Abba Yahuah. So what I'm saying is today, if Abba is telling you to leave a city and he's and told you what city to move to, you better move. Because there could be judgment coming to that place. And he's going to make sure you have the finances to move. He's going to make sure that when it comes to your job, if he's not calling you to be an entrepreneur or set your own business for the marketplace for the kingdom of Yahuwah, he's going to make a way where you transition to a better place, a better occupation, something you love doing versus you being stressed out. You know what I'm saying? Warning comes before destruction, but pride comes before the fall. So you got a choice. Take the warning before destruction, or be prideful and be prepared to fall. Like a lot of these people with their job. A lot of people probably was warned by people, hey, there's going to be a lot of layoffs at your job. You might want to move, but nope. They wanted to hold on to that position so much, and look what happened. They end up getting released from their job. Because like I said, when I had that dream about Trump saying execute Judgment 12, right? And it was in the church building. Just because y'all seeing it right now in a place of government where people being laid off, it's about to come into religion too. Look how the Pope is sitting over there sick. Got double pneumonia and is on a ventilator. You can't mess with Yah and his word and his children. He told you not to add or subtract. So now them elite people, it may seem like all is going well with them and they're going to declare peace, but it's not going to be any peace at all. It's all an illusion. Just like now, like people are saying they messing with the flag. Now it's got 9 stars instead of 50 stars. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, and it could be true, but you know what? That's none of my business. If they trying to so-called narrow it down to 9 states again, because they want to have their new world order, I'm focusing on Yahuah's order. Right? Because there is going to be a restitution and recompense and a restoration of his children, those that are obedient and staying and taking heed to his word. When the messenger of death is going over, I'm praying and hoping that my family members and my house, as of me and my house, we serving Yahuah, that it's going to pass by our house. If it afflicts everybody else because they want to serve Mitzrayim and Babylon, then so be it. It's nothing you can do about it. But however, you better take heed to that warning that he's giving you to leave that place before the judgment comes. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and give my testimony right quick so y'all can hear what I'm talking about. Right. So back in 2019, because 2018 is when I gave my life back to the Most High Yahuah. I had been baptized in 2010, but I didn't take my walk serious until like 2018, right? And when I say I got hit hard by the enemy, the afflictions came in and all that. I went through a whole Job situation. Mind you, I had been prophesied by someone that I was called into ministry and I was going to deliver and set people free. But of course, because I was still in the world, this was around the time I was still clubbing and all this. This is like 2010. I couldn't see what she was, this person was talking about. So I was like, I was a Jonah and ran out there in Washington State. And that was a straight up lion's den. I'm not talking about Washington, D.C. I'm talking about Seattle, Washington. Another modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. Those that know about Seattle, you know what I'm talking about, because a gray cloud always hovers that place. That city is actually built on top of the old city that got flooded. That should tell y'all something. But anyway, so I end up getting hired for this job, and it was for Washington State, of the Department of Veteran Affairs, Washington State, right? So it was the state version of Department of Veteran Affairs. So it was still a government job because I'm a veteran, right? And at this place, I was all excited. My manager and stuff was making it seem like, oh, we just love you. She seemed like a really, really cool person at first, right? The whole staff. Well, lo and behold, because now I'm taking my walk serious with the Most High Yahuah, the enemy was all up in that job. Someone that I thought was my friend, she was being used by the enemy to lie on me every day, saying I wasn't helping people. So every time you turn around, my boss was like, what is this? I'm hearing complaints that you're not helping. I was actually working with homeless veterans, so I would be praying for them and everything. Then I got relocated. I got the option to be relocated closer to my home. So I took that position, but I was still doing what I was doing. But even in that place, there was still racism and stuff going on there as well. And strangely enough, Abba was showing me in my dreams, and that my boss was eventually going to side with the enemy. And I saw on this chalkboard that it literally said Diablo, and we know Diablo means devil in Spanish. By this time, Abba had connected me with these powerful women that is a follower of the way. and they would be praying for me. They can interpret my dreams. They were prophesying and they were seeing things. And it was like, Kendra, I'm hearing the voice of Yahuah saying you need to leave your job because he's going to bring judgment at your job. Mind you, my mom is living, I'm living with my mom, or me and my mom living together, and we're going half and half on rent, right? And I'm like, but if I quit my job, how am I going to pay $2,000 for rent? You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, a car payment. Because I was only getting like $4 something from VA for my for disability. So it was that whole thing, like, how am I going to do this? Yeah. But you're telling me to leave my job. And I said, you're going to have to give me a reason to leave this job. And so he actually did. How he forced me out of a place. And mind you, because of the oppression, right? It had got to a point that I would be nauseated. Like my stomach would be so unsettled, like severe anxiety, like claustrophobic mode when it came to me driving to my job. I just did not have peace. And it just got worse and worse. And I said, Abba, you want me to leave this job? You're going to have to give me a reason to leave this job. She's going to have to cuss me out or something. And sure enough, that same girl that I thought had my best interest, and come to find out she was upset that I got the job, and she had been with them for years and she didn't get the job, right? And so another coworker had exposed what she was doing. So that's how I found out about it. And so sure enough, my manager said, I thought from the beginning that you was this, that. I want to believe you, but I don't anymore because you're getting too frequent of this. And she said, you just keep, she cussed at me pretty much up. And I said, you know what? Thank you. I said, matter of fact, today I'll give you 2 weeks. I'm going to give you my 2 weeks notice. And she said, well, can we talk about it? I said, there's nothing to talk about. You just gave me a reason to leave this job because it's not worth my health. And so sure enough, I hung up the phone and I typed up my 2 weeks notice and had it in my hand. And the next day I went to that job. Guess what? My manager was acting this sweet manager, all of a sudden acting stank. She didn't want to help me. She said, today is actually your last day on the job, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay. She did not try to help me to put my time and the rest of my time in so I can get paid for my last check, nothing. And, and it's so interesting. I would sit there and pray for her. I would prophesy to her and all that. And all of a sudden I got disrespect from her. So she didn't help me. And I ended up leaving that day at 10 o'clock a.m. I drove on home. And when I look back at through my rearview mirror, it was just a dark cloud hovering that place. It was like Sodom and Gomorrah. And I was like, don't ever look back to this place. And it made me think about Lot's wife when, Abba said, don't look back. I didn't look back neither. I was like, bye. You know what I'm saying? I was ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Didn't set foot back up in there, and so that same day I left, I got a phone call from Big Lots because I was making payments on my bedroom furniture. And I told the lady my story. And she said, did they tell you about the 90-day policy? I said, no. And she said, well, according to this, you got 90 days, blah, 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 something. At the end of the day, she said, let me look at your record right quick. And she looked at my account and come to find out I had been paid off my bedroom furniture. I was just paying the delivery fee. And she said, tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and zero out your account today. You have a blessed day and I'm going to send you the receipt. And she, sure enough, zeroed out my account and sent me the receipt, and my bedroom furniture was paid off. Then next thing you know, a couple of days later, I get a letter from the IRS saying that they owe me money. They accidentally taxed me on my severance pay money that I received when I got out of the military in 2010, which I don't remember them taxing, but whatever. And they was letting me know if I meet these certain criterias and my mom was like, All they can do is tell you yes or no if you are qualified or not. So I filled out the application and sent it in, and I was only expecting to get like $1,300, right? So I was like, okay, well, at least I'll get my last paycheck in this. And I was like, Abba, and I just began to pray. I said, Abba, I'm ready to leave Washington. I want to go back to North Carolina. And I was like, I pray that we will have more than enough where I could be able to pay rent these next couple of months that we have here. And I'll have money left over or something like that. Or bless us where we can break our lease without penalty. Not knowing that Abba heard my prayer, and I didn't know it was according to his will. So next thing you know, I think we contacted our apartment lease people, and she was like, we said something about we wanted to move. And she said, I was getting ready to call y'all because your apartment is very high demand. And she said, how soon do y'all want to move? And we was like, April. And she said, bet. And she said, y'all could break y'all lease early without penalty. So that was the first part of my prayer that got answered. So I'm still in my word. I'm not on Facebook or anything. I'm really taking my walk serious with the Most High. Next thing you know, I called the people from the IRS, and they told me that the check was coming in a couple of days. So I end up going to my mailbox. Mind you, I'm only expecting $1,800. And when I opened that letter, it was for $3,000. Man, when I was screaming, I was pretty screaming, because I was like, what? I was like, you gave me more than enough. This is more than enough where I could pay rent and still have more, money left over, because mind you, we get to break our lease, right? So mind you, he's giving me the money to transition for the move, right? To move back to North Carolina. So that's why I'm saying, if I had tried to stay at that job, the enemy wanted to use that job to wipe me out early. But I was like, Abba, you give me a reason. And he had to drive me out of that place of comfortability, right? Because the two prophets were saying he's getting ready to bring judgment in that place. He's getting ready to bring judgment in the place because what they're doing to you. And if I had stayed there, I would have been in the midst. She said, he cannot bring judgment in that place if you stay there, right? But it's no telling what this company have been doing to veterans. You know what I'm saying? Because I would see a lot of veterans get turned away and couldn't get benefits because they didn't meet certain criteria. You know what I'm saying? However, I was there praying, and the enemy still didn't like that, right? So I end up leaving and look at the blessings that came because I was obedient and left. Even though my flesh was like, no, you got bills to pay. That's the adversary, of course. But Abba made sure that we was able to break our lease early without penalty. And I still had money to transition over back to North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? And so on that note, what I'm saying to you guys, and this is why I'm giving a testimony, because judgment did come into that place. People did, and the same people that was like falsely accusing me and stuff like that, a lot of them lost their job. Some of them got sick and all that other stuff. So that's all I can say. Do I wish that on them? No. But you got to be careful who you mistreating, right? So what I'm saying to you guys today is take heed to the warning of transition. When Abba is telling you to leave a place, he's already got the next place set up for you. He already knows how it's going to be paid for, how you're going to move. It may be helpers that help you move. You're trying to hold on to a job when he could be calling you to entrepreneurship in a marketplace that what you're trying to strive for, he's going to bless you in less time, in 6 months. Because time I moved back to North Carolina and we moved here to the city that I'm currently living in, guess what? More blessings came, right? The enemy tried, but he could not stop what Abba has already planned for me to have, right? The inheritance, right? And even though it was in small increments here and there, He has to trust me with a little before he can trust me with much, right? So the same thing applied to you. But what I'm saying is take heed to this word of warning today. If Abba is telling you to move, he has been telling you to leave that ministry. He's been telling you to leave the building. He's been telling you to leave that job. He's been telling you to leave that relationship. He's been telling you to leave that career because he's doing a new thing and you're trying to hold on to it. You're going to end up like Lot's wife and turn to a pillar of salt. Because when he said, do not look back, do not look back, do not remember the former things of old, because I'm doing a new thing. He is doing a new thing, and you cannot hold on to those old things. You cannot hold on to those old people. You cannot hold on to those relationships. You cannot hold on to the old strategies you're doing. You cannot hold on to those old tactics and ways you've been doing warfare. It is old. You got to transition into the new. Either you're going to live. Choose the day who you gonna serve. You gonna serve the world or mammon, or you gonna serve Yahuah, right? But you can't do both. You know what I'm saying? And so, because judgment is gonna come down like a flood, just like it's a downpour right now. Either you gonna have a downpour of the open heavens over your house, your household, where that is the floodgates of the Shemiah. It's just pouring blessings onto your household, that you're just operating abundantly and prosperous on the reds, or you're gonna have your resources are gonna dry up because now you went from blessings under curses because of disobedience. I don't want none of y'all to go through that, but unfortunately you're gonna have some because they want to be hold allegiance to their brotherhood and their sisterhood mess. They're gonna reap the judgment of Abba Yahuah because that's not grounded in his word. That's just counterfeit mess. So that's a lot. But on that note, I love you all, and I want y'all to really be able to inherit the inheritance that is waiting for you. And how you're going to receive that is staying obedient, being obedient to Abba's instruction. Right now, it's not a time to be complacent, procrastinating, and lazy. If he's been telling you to pack your things so you can move, then you better do it. If he told you go ahead and put your resignation letter in so you can go ahead and get your unemployment, whatever, before a penalty come where you get nothing at all, then so be it. If he's telling you better get off them food stamps, you better start working or something, you better do it. You better take heed to his warning and his very instructions. Hear what I'm saying. Hearken to the voice of Yahuah, not your flesh or the enemy, or should we say fear? Because fear will come in and say, oh, but if we stay a little bit longer, you ain't got time for that. You don't have time for that. So on that note, I love you guys. Go back and read Bereshith 18, chapter 6, Bereshith, Genesis chapter 18, verse 16 to 33, and really go back. And then that's when we go into chapter 19, when the messengers are sent to tell Lot and his family to get up out of there. And even some of Lot's family members laughed at him like he was ignorant, just like Noah's family did. Some of his family did, and they got wiped out by the flood. We ain't got time for that now. You know what I'm saying? Because the time is drawing near when Yahushua is coming back, y'all. And there gonna be cities that's gonna get burnt up. I just saw lightning too. So on that note, thanks for tuning in. Usually I come in with a smile on my face and all that stuff, but this is a word this is a now word. Y'all better hearken to the warning of transition when it comes to Abba Yahuah and move. So thanks for tuning in, y'all, with Out the Box Kingdom Talk with me, Out the Box Kingdom. I love you all. Barak Shalom.